Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
ISKCON BBT founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayam Vishnubhad Paramahamsa Paribhajakacharya Stotra Satta Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Krishna Krishna Krishna. Namaste Saraswati Devi Murmani Pachayani Vishesha Sarvati Paschadadi Shatarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, The Creation, Chapter 14, The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. Text 3. Kalasya chagatim rodram viparyastartu dharminaha papyasim ninam vartam krodha loban ritatmanaham. Kalasya chagatim rodram viparyastartu dharminaha papyasim ninam vartam krodha loban ritatmanam. Kalasya chagatim rodram viparyastartu dharmina papyasim rinam vartam krodoloban ritatmanam. Everyone chant, please.
Kalasya chagatim rudram viprayastartu dharmina papiyashim rinam vartim krodhalobhan ritatmanam.
Kalasya cha gatim raudram viparyastartu dharmina papiyasam rinam vartam krodhalobhan ritatmanam.
Hare Krishna. Kalasya cha gatim raudram viprayastartu dharminaha papiyasim harinam vartam krodhalobhanaritatmanam. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Okay, word for word translation. Kalasya, of eternal time. Cha, also. Gatim, direction. Rodram, fearful. Viparyasta, reversed. Ritu, seasonal. Dharmina, regularities. Papiyasim, sinful. Nrinam, of the human being. Vartam, means of livelihood. Krodha, anger. lobha, greed, anrita, falsehood, atmanam, of the people. Translation: he saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. When civilization is disconnected from the loving relation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy seasons being transferred to autumn, or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season to another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. But Maharaj Yudhishthir was astonished to experience even a slight change to the godly atmosphere of his kingdom, and at once he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. Foul means of livelihood implies deviation from one's occupational duty. There are prescribed duties for everyone, such as the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, but anyone who deviates from his prescribed duty and declares another duty to be his own is following a foul and improper duty. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalasya chagatim rodram viparyastartu dharminaha papiyasim rinam vartam krodala lobanritatmanam. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschada Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody for showing up today for this class. Very another amazing section of the Bhagavatam, Krishna's disappearance, the disappearance of Lord Krishna. This is not a very palatable topic for the devotees. For the great Vaishnavas, we celebrate the appearance and disappearance of the great Vaishnavas, the great Acharyas. We don't do that for Krishna. We celebrate his appearance because we see, and we'll see in this chapter, it's so devastating and so painful that the devotees don't really, certainly not celebrate it or anything like that, but even discussing it is painful. We see the pain of the Pandavas today, a little bit today and coming up in future verses. So anyway, this is some of the things that they don't know for sure yet, but Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he's intelligent, he's putting two and two together, that these bad symptoms are there. Therefore, he's thinking Krishna has wrapped up his pastimes. Kalasya chagatim Rodram Viparyasta. So Kalasya Viparya, that the direction of time has been changed. Doesn't mean like, some HG Wells time traveler traveling into the past, but it means the normal order of things is topsy-turvy, and what's supposed to be ordered is now chaotic. The seasons are not progressing nicely. Severe weather is there. We're seeing it today, but this is a long-term trend, actually, over the thousands of years of Kali Yugas, and we're just getting a little taste nowadays. But all these things, disorders, frost in the summer, hot winters, all these things are signs of disorder in the normal, healthy progress of time, the healthy progress of nature, which gives health and happiness and good crops and good weather and health and benefit for everyone. And then with Krishna's disappearance, Maharaj Yudhishthira was surprised, because under his expert rulership, everything was so nice. It's described with the Yudhishthira, it's described with Parikshit, with Prithu Maharaj, that even nature was serving the king by offering all her fruits for the enrichment of the kingdom and the health and wealth and benefit of the citizens. And when Krishna's gone, that whole process, Viparya means opposite or reversed or turning around or turning away. So all of this is turning away from this normal, healthy condition because of Krishna's disappearance. This happens at other times, just like I was reading recently, when Jai and Vijay were cursed, and when they fell from the heavenly planets, as they were falling from the heavenly planets, the same thing was going on, like awful. The whole universe was cast into darkness, and everywhere there was a loud, frightening, roaring sound, and so much inauspicious, because these Vaikuntha Vasis had been cursed, and they were falling down. Because they were cursed, it was inauspicious, and because their coming incarnations, 3 sequential incarnations, were so demonic that the whole universe Viparya was practically turned upside down by it. And there's demons. Everyone's a demon now. Walking down the street, you're looking around, and it's 99% demons or innocent people behaving like demons. But these demons, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Shishupal Dantavakra, and Ravana, and Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So demons, we can't even conceive of demons. So they fell in the same thing. The whole universe, the whole natural order of things was turned upside down. So this is what happens when there's a big disturbance. And what's more disturbing than Krishna himself, the Lord and Creator, ending his pastimes, winding up his pastimes in this universe and going back? Such a disturbance. Time itself is disturbed and turned upside down. But when Krishna appears, actually, in a way, when Krishna appears, time is also turned upside down, but in an amazing, beautiful way, in a sweet way, in a gorgeous way. This is a description from Srila Jiva Goswami in his Gopal Champu, describing the progression of time at the time of Krishna's Janmashtami, at the time of Krishna's appearance. He writes, as the birth time approached, all auspicious times and events congregated. Although it was an Ashtami, the moon became full. This is described poetically as the moon swelling with pride due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead choosing to appear in the Soma Vamsha. Although it wasn't Satya Yuga, everyone's mind was full of peace and clarity. Although it was not springtime, the mogra flowers were in bloom. Although it was not summer, the trees were weighted down with ripe mangoes. Although it was not autumn, the sky and the waters were clear. Although it was not daytime, the lotuses were all in full bloom. In fact, all fruits and flowers from all seasons and all auspicious omens were produced simultaneously. So when Krishna appeared, it also turns time upside down, but in such a beautiful and sweet and auspicious way. And when he appears, time is turned upside down in a way that harms everyone and disturbs society and causes pain and hardship and poverty and disease and distress in so many ways. So this is what happens when Krishna disappears. He appears, everything auspicious comes, and he disappears, and it's all shot to hell. So what else was reversed? What else was messed up? Maharaj Yudhishthira witnessed. Dharmina papiyasim rinam. That dharma and papa reversed. Previously, the people were all dharmic. They were all perfectly following scriptural rules and behaving in proper dharmic ways responsibly and being kind to each other and worshiping Krishna and offering sacrifice and all of these things naturally going on. But then when Krishna disappears, Dharma and Papa completely switched. Then sin is introduced. Like Prabhupada described, that everyone now is like this, impious, sinful, everyone, because of Krishna's disappearance. And we see that today. I don't want to mention, but I can tell, pointing out as an example, a person who takes a gun and points that gun at his wife's head and threatens, and that person is responding, is as a senator of the United States, and half the population of the country thinks, oh, sure, why not vote for him? Sin and piety completely reversed, completely turned upside down. People in the dress of sannyasis engaging in sinful activities. People sitting on the Vyasasan, but behaving improperly. This is happening all over the world. So many, everything upside down. So dharmina papiyasim rinam, turned upside down. And what's the other thing that Maharaj Yudhishthira mentions? This is interesting. Vartam. Vartam means one's livelihood. Vartam from vritti. So one's livelihood is disturbed and done in an impious way, in an improper way, with anger and hatred and falsity, one's livelihood. And one's livelihood, there's two ways of looking at this, actually many ways of looking at it, but two ways of looking at it. One, as Prabhupada says, this is the disturbance and the disregard of Varnashram Dharma. Because really, ultimately, livelihood means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. That the Brahmana's livelihood is study and sacrifice and teaching. And how does he live? What's his livelihood? How does he make his living? He accepts some little donation and lives off of that, off a very small donation, and he lives off of that. The Kshatriya collects taxes, and he uses that money for the safety of the citizens. That's how the Kshatriya gets his money, through taxes. And he uses that money for protecting the citizens, for feeding the citizens, for ensuring the safety, the material safety, and also the spiritual safety by propounding the principles of religion for the citizens. The Vaishya is growing food, taking care of cows, supplying all the physical needs, food and supplies, and food and drink and supplies, and banking and business and entrepreneurship. All of this is the livelihood of the Vaishyas. And the Sudras are serving and receiving some salary and maintenance in return. Now all turned upside down. All turned upside down. Brahmanas are supposed to be the intellectuals in society. So the intellectuals in society today, they're all receiving a salary like Sudras. And the Kshatriyas, the leaders of society, instead of collecting taxes and using it for the betterment of society, they're stealing the wealth of the poor citizens and using it for their own benefit. So again, this is vartam or vritti. And the other meaning is that our individual livelihoods, forget varnashram for a moment, because we don't have it. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So let's just look individually. Our jobs, our vritti, our livelihood. Is it good? Is it pious? Is it honest? Are we making a living through cheating, through speculating? Are we engaged in sinful activities through our work? More and more the case today, this is the case that people their livelihood is not honest. So many livelihoods are based on cheating and duplicity and threatening and so many things like that. Srila Rupa Goswami, he describes 6 things that are very important for perfecting one's devotional service. Utsahan nischaya daryat, tata karma pravartana, sango tyagat, satovrite. Satovrit, so utsahan, being enthusiastic, being determined, being patient, behaving properly, renouncing the association of materialistic persons, and satovrite. Now in the book, in Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada translates satovrite as following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, the great authorities. But the literal translation, satovrite, means that your vritti, your livelihood, should be in the mode of goodness. And elsewhere he explains like that. In his lectures, he explains this other more literal meaning of satovrite, that your livelihood should be in the mode of goodness. You shouldn't be cheating. You shouldn't be lying. You shouldn't be profiting off of sin or duplicity like that. And in Kali Yuga, or after the disappearance of Krishna, all of this became normal, this kind of bad livelihood. So all of this is completely turned upside down. Or aside from sinful, so many livelihoods that are harmful towards society, or even harmful towards Mother Earth, like so many industries that are polluting or using up natural resources and causing so many problems. So all of these things are there. All of these things are not satovriti, they're asat vritti, bad livelihood. And again, this is all because of the disappearance of Krishna, or all stemming from the disappearance of Krishna. And Maharaj Yudhishthira saw this and he was afraid. Rodram. Rodram means fearful, or fearful of something that's like wild and uncontrolled and inauspicious. Like Rodram comes from Rudra, like when Lord Rudra, Lord Shiva, when he becomes angry and he destroys the whole universe at the end of the creation. So this is the kind of wild fearfulness that Maharaj Yudhishthira was experiencing. And in yesterday's verse, the word Gora is used, which also means fearful. Gora means fearful in the sense of something like a horror movie is Gora, like something that's just like gross and awful and, you know, frightening, like a monster or something. This is Gora. So all of this fearfulness is going on because of the disappearance of Krishna. So therefore, they were scared. Maharaj Yudhishthira was frightened. He's a big, brave Kshatriya, but he's frightened of this. He sees all of society going to hell. Why? Because of the disappearance of Krishna. This is the frightening thing. They were fearful of losing Krishna. This was the basis of their fear. And this is the basis of all fear. Whether you're a great devotee or a materialist, losing Krishna, forgetting Krishna, this is the basis of all fearfulness. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshata syad, ishara pitasya viparya yosmriti, tanmaya yato buddha abhajatam, bhaktyayika yesham guru deva tatma. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshata syad. Bhayam, fear, is, what's the cause of it? Dvitiya. Dvitiya means duality. We discussed, maybe it was even just last week, and many times I've discussed this, that Krishna is one. Eka Brahma, Dvitiya Nasti, that Krishna is one, Eka. And there's no second, there's no Dvitiya. There's only Krishna and Krishna's energies. And we're all part of that energy, and we're all part and parcel of Krishna. and we're all supposed to be in that loving relationship with Krishna. But when we create that duality, I'm separate from Krishna. I'm going to enjoy separate from Krishna, and this material nature is separate from Krishna, there for me to exploit. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshatasya. This fear comes from this sense of separateness. What causes this sense of separateness, the sense of duality? Ishad apitasya viparyayo smriti. Viparyayo smriti, the same word as in today's verse, viparya. That time became reversed, and religion and irreligion became reversed. So viparyayo smriti means smriti, your remembrance, your intelligence, your mind also become reversed. Just like if you're standing outside and you're facing the sun, you're in the sun. But if you reverse, you turn the other way, then you're no longer, you can't see the sun anymore. So viparyayo smriti means you're ishad apitasya viparyayo smriti. It means we've turned away from Krishna. We've almost literally turned our head away from Krishna. Just like if you turn your head away from the sun, from the light, then you're in darkness. This is what causes the sense of duality, the sense of separateness. And that's what causes fear within this material world. Tanmaya yato Buddha abhijatam. Therefore, Buddha, someone who has some intelligence, someone who's not a fool, someone who understands things as they are. Buddha abhijatam, what does he do? Bhaktyayikayesham Guru Deva Tatma. Bhaktyayikayesham. Bhakta Eka Isha. Bhaktyayikesham. That means Bhakta, he's a devotee, he worships what? Bhakta Eka, one. Remember, we're combating duality here. So he worships Eka Isha, the one supreme personality of Godhead. And Guru Deva Tatma, and the spiritual master who is, in terms of his deliverance of Krishna consciousness, non-different from Krishna himself. So this is the solution. The problem is turning away from Krishna, losing Krishna, just like the Pandavas are losing Krishna by his returning to the spiritual world. All of us in the material world have lost Krishna not by Krishna leaving us, but by us leaving Krishna. But the result is the same, fearfulness. Although we'll just get into it later, it's even the fearfulness of the Pandavas and the fearfulness of the materialists is also a different thing. But still, losing Krishna is the cause of fearfulness. So we've turned away from Krishna, Krishna left, and Krishna left means Kali Yuga starts. And it all comes from there. Prayen alpayusha sabya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadruta. That this age of Kali, speaking to the learned assembly at Naimisharanya, this age of Kali has come, and what are the symptoms? Manda, everyone is a fool. Sumanda, they're so slow, they're so dull-witted, and they're so lazy and so incompetent in every way. I say they, I mean we, I mean me. Manda sumanda matayo, they're fools and lazy and incompetent in every way. And you may think, okay, well, I'm lazy, I'm foolish, I'm incompetent, but maybe I'll get lucky and things will turn out okay. No, manda bhagya, your fortune, your luck is also similarly bad. Don't expect any good luck in this age. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya yupajuta. This is the age of Kali, and all because Krishna left. Just like in yesterday's verse, I don't know if anyone noticed, but in the purport, when Prabhupada's talking, he says, this is in the purport yesterday, therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display. So especially religion and knowledge. What is Srila Prabhupada referring to here? He's referring to the earlier Bhagavatam verse. Krishne swadamo pagate dharma jnanadi bi saha. That when Krishna returns to the spiritual world, when he winds up his pastimes in this world, that verse specifically mentions religion and knowledge that they left with Krishna. So when Krishna comes, he brings, like Prabhupada said yesterday, especially religion and knowledge. And when he leaves, he takes away, especially religion and knowledge. Dharma jnanadi bi saha. Puran, what's the third line? The fourth line is Puranarko Dinodita. Anyway, I can't remember the third line. But the final line is that in this dark age of Kali, Krishna's left and he's taken away. And with him, religion has fled and all good qualities, just like we're hearing in today's verse. Everything good is being taken away. Everything good is being reversed and turned evil. But by approaching Srimad Bhagavatam in this age, that light can come. The same light of Krishna can be found in the Bhagavatam and enlighten us in the dark age of Kali. And Prabhupada says at the end of today's purport, ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. So of course, there in that purport, he's paraphrasing that verse, Krishna Swadamo Pagate. And also interesting, he said, ignorance is the cause. So ignorance is the cause. Ignorance means being foolish, being unintelligent. But look at the word ignorance. Ignorance means ignoring. So we're ignoring Krishna. We're turning away from Krishna. This is, even etymologically speaking, this is the source of ignorance, turning away from Krishna. So the sages at Naimisharanya, when they saw how bad Kali Yuga was, how degraded it is, all the sages of Naimisharanya, because they're great sages, they thought, we have to help society. Kali Yuga is so bad. We have to help society. So they got together at Naimisharanya, very important pilgrimage place, and they started a big, long sacrifice, 1,000-year sacrifice. And they were doing the sacrificial fire. I don't know actually the timeline, how long they were doing it, but they were doing sacrifice and pouring ghee into the fire and all of this going on. But they were not successful in reversing Kali Yuga until they heard from Sutta Goswami. Therefore, they inquired from Sutta Goswami, what should we actually be doing? What's the actual Dharma? And he explained Savaipam Samparo Dharmo, Yato Bhaktir Hoksajay, that the actual Dharma is devotional service. Very nice verse in the Bhagavatam. Let's see. This is in the 18th chapter of the first canto. The sages say, explaining, we have just begun the performance of this fruitive activity, a sacrificial fire, without certainty of its result due to the many imperfections in our actions. Our bodies have become black from the smoke, but we are factually pleased by the nectar of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead Govinda, which you are distributing. So they had to give up their other methods of sacrifice. They said, we're doing this sacrifice for so long, and what's the result? We've simply become, our clothes and our body have simply become blackened by all the smoke. This is literally, or if you take it figuratively, it means that these fruitive activities will not deliver you from this ignorance of Kali Yuga. Rather, they're further entanglement if they're not centered around devotional service. Therefore, they said, we're finally actually pleased, not by doing sacrifice with smoke and fire and ghee and wood, but by hearing about Govinda. So this is the important point here, that the focus, the way to get rid of this ignorance is not by any material process, but only through devotional service. Just like there's the 26 qualities of a devotee. We've heard these 26 qualities of a devotee. And these qualities are very nice things. A devotee is clean, a devotee is poetic, a devotee is merciful. Actually, one time Prabhupada was talking with Allen Ginsberg, and he said to Allen Ginsberg, and he said, oh yeah, one of the qualities of a devotee is that he's poetic. And Allen Ginsberg was liking, very nice, yes, because he's a poet. And then Prabhupada was talking further on, he said that also one of the qualities of a devotee is that he is sane. And Allen Ginsberg said, oh, I don't know, that one I'm not sure I have. But anyway, there's all these qualities of a devotee, very nice qualities. But in those 26 qualities, there's one quality. And that one quality is Krishnaika Sharanam. Krishna Eka Sharanam. Just like I quoted that Bhagavatam verse about how fear comes from duality and ignoring Krishna. And the solution is Bhakti-aika yesham, Bhakta Eka Isham. So Eka means one. So Krishna Eka Sharanam, Krishna Eka Sharanam means the same thing. Sharanam means surrender, means exclusive surrender to the one, Krishna, Krishnaika Sharanam. And that one quality of those 26 qualities of a devotee is called the Swarup Lakshana. The Swarup means the essential or the defining or the most important quality of those 26 qualities. And the other 25 qualities are called Tatashta Lakshanam. Tatashta means secondary or not as important or concomitant qualities. It's described also that if you have all those other 25 qualities mentioned in the 26 qualities of a devotee, but you are not exclusively surrendered to Krishna, then you are not rightly situated. Even though you may appear very good in all material estimation. But if you lack Krishnaika Sharanam, you're not rightly situated. And if you have actually genuinely possess Krishnaika Sharanam, even if you're deficient a little bit here and there in some of those other qualities, there's no fault because you're properly situated, because you've embraced the Swarup Lakshana, the essential quality of being surrendered to Krishna. There's another, let's see if I could. Same thing in the Bhagavad Gita. When the items of knowledge are being described in the 13th chapter, there's those 4 or 5 verses in a row describing all the different items of knowledge. Amanitam, Adambitvam, Ahamsik, Shantir, Arjavam. These are all excellent qualities. Amanitam, being prideless, not being puffed up. Ahimsa, being peaceful, non-violent. Kshantir, being tolerant. Arjavam, being religious. Being shocham, cleanliness. All of these different qualities, very good qualities. And Krishna explains all of these qualities are knowledge and everything besides them is ignorance. But amongst all of these many qualities listed, same thing. Within that list of many qualities, there's one quality. Mayi chananya yogena bhaktir avya bicharani. That amongst all those other qualities, cleanliness, religiousness, piety, being renounced, all these things are there. But amongst all of them, there has to be that one quality. Mayi chananya yogena. Mayi, Krishna says, unto me, chananya yogena, that you give up other things and just yogena. You take up yoga. What kind of yoga? Bhaktir. You take up bhakti yoga, devotional service to Krishna. And what is the nature of that devotional service to Krishna? Avya bicharani. One-pointed, fixed, concentrated devotional service to Krishna. This is again the Swarup Lakshana of all the items of knowledge as being an exclusive devotee of Krishna. And without that, you're not actually very well situated. Therefore, it's said that someone who is actually a devotee automatically has all the good qualities. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana. Sarvar gunas tacha samasate sura. He has all the good qualities equal to and superior to that of the demigods. Just by having devotion to Krishna, he has all the good qualities. And if you're not a devotee of Krishna, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavat Kinchana Sarvar gunas tacha samasate sura. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahad guna. And if you're abhaktasya, if you're abhakta, if you're not a devotee, then kuto mahad, then you don't have good qualities. Your good qualities are very tiny, very insignificant, because you're simply hovering on the material platform. So this is the understanding. This is how the sages of Naimisharanya counteracted Kali Yuga by giving us Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is how the Pandavas also resolved their distress. They were so distressed because the world was going to hell, although they were supposed to be the kings, and because they had lost their dearmost Lord Krishna. So what did they do? What was their reaction? This is also, let's see, I'm sorry. So in the next chapter, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead to the next chapter. In chapter 15, it describes the Pandavas' reaction to this. In 15, starting with text 27, I'll just read through some of those quickly. After they were so sad and so depressed and so devastated upon learning about the disappearance of Krishna. But what was their reaction? Initially, they were fearful. So how did they address that fear? How did they deal with it? Through devotional service. He said, now I am attracted, this is Arjuna speaking, now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Arjuna's constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided. Because of the Lord's pastimes and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared that Arjuna forgot the instructions left by the personality of Godhead. But factually, this was not the case. And again, he became Lord of his senses. So this is how the pure devotees react to this unbearable pain of losing Krishna. Because losing Krishna, again, is the source of all pain, the source of all fearfulness. When the gopis lost Krishna at the beginning of the Rasa dance, they were so fearful and so sad. And what was their remedy? To absorb their minds so much in Krishna's pastimes that they were enacting them and reliving them with their body, their mind, and their words in their heart, reliving those pastimes. Arjuna was so depressed and so disturbed at the loss of Krishna, his most intimate friend. And what was his solution? To remember those instructions. He heard Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield, and it resolved his dilemma then. But now all this time later, he had to remember those instructions again, and remember the instructions, and remember the beauty of Govinda and the lotus feet of Govinda, and situating all of those firmly in his heart again. And again, he became the master of his senses, and his mind was pacified. This is the solution. If fear is caused by separation from Krishna, then the solution to fear is devotional service to Krishna like this, remembering Krishna's instructions, his form, his pastimes, his qualities, all of these things. And this is true for the pure devotees and those of us who are not pure devotees, who are sadhakas, who are still practicing. We can take that exact same lesson. Our suffering is not exactly like the suffering and fear of the Pandavas or of the gopis, but still, because we've turned away from Krishna, because we've lost our connection with Krishna, not lost exactly, forgotten or disregarded our connection with Krishna, we're suffering in this material world. But the principle is the same for us as for these pure devotees, that we take the instructions of Krishna, we take the beauty of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna into our heart again. The result is the same. The solution is the same. We suffer by losing Krishna, and therefore the solution to our suffering is to regain Krishna in some way or form. Because even when Krishna was present, even during the time of these pastimes we're hearing, when Krishna was present, there were those who were still viparya yosmriti, who were turning their minds, turning their hearts away from Krishna. Even Krishna was directly standing there, like Dhritarashtra. That's why we heard in the last chapter how Dhritarashtra, why he was unable to take to devotional service, because he had turned his mind and turned his heart away from Krishna. Therefore, he was unable to take devotional service, and he had to settle for the mechanical yoga system. So this fear is the constant factor of material life. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha. Eating, sleeping, fearing, and defending are the constant companions of every conditioned soul within this world. And Prabhupada has explained several times that of all these, bhaya, or fear, is the most prominent of all and drives all the other. It's the constant companion, fear, the constant companion and the constant material motivation in material life. Why are people looking for money or for family or for influence or power? It's fear of losing control, fear of losing their life, fear of losing their influence, fear of losing their happiness and security is motivating all of these activities of materialistic life. And it's everyone and it's everywhere in the material world. I mentioned how the universe was also turned on its head at the time of the fall of Jai and Vijay. So in that part of the Bhagavatam, in the third canto, which is incidentally, since we've been hearing so much about Vidura, this is conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. In beginning of the 17th chapter of the third canto, Prabhupada writes in the purport, when the universe became turned upside down from the fall of Jai and Vijay, Prabhupada wrote, the demigods, who are denizens of higher planets, are also very much afraid of incidents, such as the universe is becoming dark, and so they consulted Brahma. This indicates that the quality of fear exists for every living entity in the material world. The four principal activities of material existence are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. And the fear element exists also in the demigods, on every planet, even in the higher planetary systems, as well as on this earth. The same principles of animal life exist. Otherwise, why are the demigods afraid of the darkness? So if the demigods are becoming fearful, and there's so many pastimes when the demigods are becoming fearful, then what hope do we have? Our only hope is the actual real solution, the solution at the root, not by we're afraid of getting sick, so we take medicine, or we're afraid of being poor, so we work hard and make money, or we're afraid of an enemy, so we attack someone, or whatever it may be. These solutions are like the sages at Naimisharanya doing their fire sacrifice and simply becoming blackened by the choking smoke. These are not solutions. The solution is only turning to Krishna. Psychologically speaking, when someone is faced with fear, I think this is a common idea that most counselors and psychologists would suggest, that if you're afraid of something, better than denying that fear or running away from that fear or covering up that fear, the intelligent way to deal with it is to face your fears. To face, if you're afraid of something, don't run away from that, but face it, confront it. So we're afraid of all of these situations in material world. So Krishna recommends that we face those fears. Also, going back to Bhagavad Gita, those different items of knowledge, what is one of those items of knowledge? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi is the basis of our fearful condition, our unpleasant condition in this material world. Birth, death, old age, and disease is one of course, forgetting Krishna is the original cause, but those are the immediate causes of so much suffering in this material world. And Krishna says, face it, dukkha doshanu darshanam. These things are horrible, but you face them. Darshana means you look at them. You take darshan of these things and you consider them. So in this way, these negative things become an inspiration. And then when you take an inventory of these fearful conditions, these unpleasant conditions, these backwards and upside down and disturbing conditions of the material world, the result for the devotee should be, yes, all of this is caused by forgetting Krishna, and the solution is Krishnaika Sharanam, exclusive surrender to Krishna. So you face your fears, you face with open eyes the reality of this material world, and if you're a little intelligent, if you accept the words of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra and logic, then the solution is turning to Krishna. And this is the same for the pure devotees and the same for the aspiring devotees like us. Little different. For us, the fear, we can use that fear as a motivation towards taking very strongly to devotional service. For those pure devotees, that fear is actually an element, a direct element of their devotional service itself. Just like at the stage for very advanced devotees who have realized their relationship with Krishna, there's something called vyabhichari bhav. Vyabhichari bhav means a kind of emotional ecstasy that springs up in the heart and enriches your devotional service to Krishna. And one of those is fear. Trasha is the word. Fear. Let's see. I have a reference marked here. Yes, and one of those is fear or apprehension. And Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion, when a person becomes disturbed in his heart by seeing lightning in the sky, by seeing a ferocious animal, or by hearing a tumultuous sound, his state of mind is called apprehension. In such a state of apprehension, one tries to take shelter of something which provides safety. And then he gives an example. When Vritrasura appeared in Vrindavan as a bull, all of the gopis became greatly affected with fear. Being perturbed in that way, they began to embrace the tamal tree. This is an instance of fear caused by a ferocious animal and of the search for shelter while remembering Krishna in ecstatic love. So this is fear, but that fear is simply an element of the pure devotee's love of Krishna, and it feeds that love. Just like Trinavarta pastime. Trinavarta came to Vrindavan and he stirred up all the dust with his whirlwind activities. And because of that dust, Mother Yashoda couldn't see Krishna. As soon as she, just like the Pandavas were losing Krishna. So because Mother Yashoda couldn't see Krishna, immediately she and all the people of Vrindavan, all the ladies of Vrindavan immediately became fearful. We can't see Krishna, we can't see Krishna. And this increased their love for Krishna to such amazing heights and such amazing intensity. So this is the vyabhichari bhav of fear, different from our fear in this material world. But if we're sadhakas, if we have that fear in the material world, we can also use that as an impetus. It's not exactly a vyabhichari bhav, but we can use it as an impetus for taking our devotional service to Krishna very seriously. And even more directly, there are different kinds of relationship with Krishna. We know the Shantaras, the neutral relationship with Krishna, servitude, friendship, parental love, and conjugal love. These are the 5 mukyarati, or the 5 primary relationships with Krishna. And there are also 7 more secondary relationships, and one of those is fear. There's the Pancha Mukyarati, the 5 primary relationships, and Sapta Gonarati, the 7 secondary relationships of Hasya, laughter or humor, Adbhuta, wonder, Vira, chivalrousness, Karuna, being feeling merciful, Rodra, we heard about Rodra today, and Bibhatsa, and disgust, and Bhaya, fear. So this is also a loving relationship with Krishna in fear. Prabhupada writes about this also in Nectar of Devotion. In ecstatic love for Krishna in dread, there are 2 causes of fear, either Krishna himself or some dreadful situation for Krishna. When a devotee feels himself to be an offender at Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna himself becomes the object of dreadful ecstatic love. So this is interesting, that if we've committed some offense, if we examine our devotional service and find all the myriad ways in which we're lacking, we can become very embarrassed before Krishna and fearful. Oh, how am I going to present myself before Krishna? I'm scared to expose myself before Krishna because I'm so deficient. So this is one kind of ecstatic relationship with Krishna in fear. And when out of ecstatic love, friends and well-wishers of Krishna apprehend some danger for him, that situation becomes the object of their dread. So the advanced devotees also become fearful when Krishna himself appears to be in some danger. So anyway, in any case, fear is there. Whether you're a pure devotee in Vrindavan or a conditioned soul, deeply, seriously and firmly conditioned soul in the material world like myself, fear is going to be there. And we have to intelligently use that fear to advance our devotional service by understanding the cause of that fear, dvitiya biniveshita, that the cause of that fear, bhaya, dvitiya biniveshita, the cause of that fear is our separation from Krishna. And the cure for that fear is reuniting with Krishna, which means Krishnaika Sharanam, exclusive devotional service, exclusive surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for your very kind attention. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Vrindavaneshwari. Nice class.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Wonderful.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I was very interested in the fact that you were saying the fear component and how deeply that can come in very much in the conditioned soul, but also in the, the pure devotees. And so I was just reflecting on that as you were wrapping up. I was reflecting on that concept that, we think of fear, we're so fearful here in the material world, all these things can, harm us, or we could lose things. But in Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, there's the fear of Krishna going away or something happening to him. So I was just wanting to reflect on that I really appreciated you bringing that in, because it's just a different aspect.
Right. Yeah, that's the principle of, in Bhagavad Gita describes there's a banyan tree on the riverbank, and then the reflection of the tree is there, but upside down. So everything that's present here is present there. There it's present in a way that enriches your love for Krishna, your service to Krishna, your remembrance of Krishna, like the Pandavas. They lost Krishna and they were so disturbed. And what was the result? Arjuna's deep, deep meditation on Krishna and remembrance of Krishna. And in the material world, we've also lost Krishna, or intentionally we've left Krishna. And the result is this material fear, which corrupts us and drives us down. Unless we have the knowledge of what's happening, then we could use it as an impetus. But everything that's present here is present there. Friendship, servitude, parental relationship, conjugal relationship, fear, wonder, amazement, chivalry, all of these qualities are here in this material world, and all of them are there in the spiritual world. But there, of course, they're in perfection. Hare Krishna, thank you for that nice point. Anything else? Question or comment?
I was just reflecting on the statement you made that we are all in this state because of lack of knowledge, and for the longest time, knowledge for me was material knowledge. Just the knowledge that this is knowledge, that we are not this body is knowledge and not anything else. That is what helps. I mean, that is what makes sense. That's not the way I meant to say it. Everything that we're reading, I mean, Srimad Bhagavatam and everything will make sense only when we understand that fact, or at least we understand it in the right light. Because otherwise, if I think knowledge is, getting my academic education, then it doesn't make sense. And it took me a very long time to understand that we are not this body. And as long as we don't understand that, we're heading off in the wrong direction. And no matter how much attempt we make, how much effort we make in that direction, we're not going to reach our goal. Trying to find happiness in this place is not going to happen. What a futile attempt. And all this time we've been wasting trying to be happy where we would never be happy. I had watched that play Fish Out of Water also. But that I am the fish out of water.
Did you watch the old Gita Nagari version?
No.
You should look for that sometime. It's pretty funny. Anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No. And it's understanding that I am the fish out of water. And then everything, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Everything is falling into place. None of my attempts are going to work because I'm doing what is not taking me towards my goal. And so that's my reflection for today.
Jai, very nice. There's a purport, I can't remember where it is, and I can't remember the exact words, but Prabhupada says that suffering comes from lack of a fixed goal or a fixed destination. I can't remember his exact words. So once we understand that goal, what the goal is, that we're aspiring to Krishna, then all the other things, the search for material knowledge and our suffering and all of it all falls into place and starts working together when we have that one understanding. Thank you. Anything else? Question or comment? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention. Do you have something to say, Mother?
Yes, Prabhu, the last line of the purport, I saw this, ignorance is the cause of all this human society, human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think the more and more we listen to this, and every day I'm listening, but I don't know how much I'm grasping, but I expect, I'm trying my best to do.
I'm sure you're understanding a lot, Mother, but even if you're not, Prabhupada once was speaking and he said, you simply sit in the temple room and you just sit there and there'll be some katha and you'll hear Bhagavatam, you'll hear class, and you just go on hearing And he said, even if you don't understand, you just go on hearing. And then he said, understanding is not a very important thing. So, of course, we take that, take that statement, not in isolation, but all the things Prabhupada said. But that point, it's a good point, that it's not just, how much can we understand anyway with our tiny brains? Even if we think we're big scholar, how much can we actually understand? But if we just go on hearing, and if we have a taste for hearing, even if we so-called don't understand, then we're rightly situated. Like, what's the story of the Brahmana who is reading Bhagavad Gita?
Upside down.
With the book upside down because he was illiterate. But he was understanding. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have understood Bhagavad Gita. So, of course, we also want to understand whatever brain we have. If we have, 100 brain cells, then we turn those 100 brain cells as best as we can to understanding Bhagavatam. And if we have 1,000,000 brain cells, then we turn those 1,000,000 brain cells towards understanding Bhagavatam. So whatever degree we do that, but the real point is that we want to hear about Krishna. That we're not ignorance. Again, ignorance means ignoring, that we're not ignoring Krishna, that we're turning towards Krishna and not turning away from Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That's what I'm trying. That's all.
That's what we're all trying. We're all trying to do it. Thank you. Anything else? Any
Hare Krishna.
announcements for tonight or?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for a very, very nice class. Really, I feel like connected to Krishna. And when we hear these classes every day, it sticks in our mind. If something goes wrong, I think that, oh, Krishna is watching me, and I should do things in a right way. I should do in a way that would benefit others. And I have seen that when I do that, I get more benefit.
Jai.
And then I feel that then my devotion increases toward Krishna, that Krishna was watching and he helped me, even though I did not expect that. But I was not another person, and I was unexpectedly got benefit. So that really, when we hear these classes, so this time something happens, if we leave on Krishna, everything is okay. Our mind gets purified. Actually, we are less offensive. Also, we don't painful reaction. Very, very nice class. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. That's a nice realization that in one sense, like Prabhupada gave morning program and morning class and chanting rounds and doing service in the course of the day. And all of this is, like you said, like a reminder. It's a reminder. Yes, Krishna, because otherwise we forget Krishna. But we go to class, we remember Krishna. We do some service, we remember Krishna. We stand before the deities, we're reminded of Krishna. We read the Bhagavatam, we're reminded of Krishna. And also, like Prabhupada said, that the little drops of water wear away the stone. So even we may not perceive immediately how we're advancing, but if we keep on doing the process Prabhupada gave us, we could count on it. It'll gradually have an effect. Very nice.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other question or announcement for today, since it's a little late? John, announcements for Sunday feast?
Yeah, I wanted, before that, I just wanted to, when you were talking today and you're doing the kind of comparing, the life when Krishna was here versus when Krishna had left and everything turned upside down, it made me just think about the vacuum. There's almost like a vacuum effect of everything good just got kind of sucked away.
Yeah.
It made me think of also, like, when you hear about devotees, who were in ISKCON when Srila Prabhupada was here, and when Srila Prabhupada, disappeared, just that feeling of like everything was just like all goodness, all auspiciousness. And even though Srila Prabhupada tried to set everything up for the continuance, and ISKCON, did continue, but just the feeling of just like, there's no hope, there's no, what's the purpose of going on? As you were reading that, just it made me reflect on how we really have to appreciate kind of what we have, because things can always be worse, and things will change in time. But just really appreciating, especially our relationships with devotees, our ability to serve and have service and have the holy name, have these classes, have Srila Prabhupada's books, and etc. Really just to give appreciation for that, because there could be a life that exists where all this could be not there, and be completely in darkness.
That I really like that, especially comparing it with Prabhupada's disappearance in ISKCON, just like Arjuna and the Pandavas, they were so distressed. And then there's that section coming up in the next chapter, how he had to sort of like steel himself and remember the instructions and remember Krishna. And I wasn't there. I can't imagine the pain and distress of the devotees at that time. One time many years ago when it first came out, I tried watching that. What's the name of that movie about Prabhupada's disappearance? The final instruction, was that the name of it? I tried watching it. I got through 5 or 10 minutes, and I just couldn't. I couldn't even I couldn't even watch it on film, and I've never watched it since. So that pain, but then like the Pandavas, they had to steel themselves and remember what Krishna had given them, and we have to remember what Prabhupada has given us and carry it on, and understanding that in that sense he's not really gone. He reasons ill who thinks that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. The Vaishnavas died to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. So that nice point. I really like that point. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much for this class.
Hare Krishna.
Tonight we'll continue with the Sunday feast starting at 4:30. I hope to see everybody there. We'll continue our study of the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The class will be given by Mother Revati.
Jai. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha, Kripasindhubheva, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.